So, just this last week, I got an idea. A film idea. Film is something that I have always had a passion for, but I've never really gotten into it. I've never made any actual projects beyond, the goofy movies that you make like with your family or something else like that. Like my brother and I, my brothers and I, we would make, short action flicks that we thought were super awesome, where usually it ended in the good guy, chase him down and beat him up sort of thing. Super fun for what it was, but I've always wanted to make something more, something that felt like I was something that felt like actually had meaning or carried some sort of impact with it. And just this last week, I got an actual idea for a film that I feel could very well do just that. Now, I a while ago I did start a podcast that was about mental health, primarily my struggle with mental health and things that I've learned about it, things that I've struggled with, and just kind of where I was at a certain point in my life and where I am now. And just kind of stuff that I've dealt with and stuff that I've learned along the way. Now, for what it was, or for what it is, I say what it was because I actually haven't done an episode for a while, because I tend to have this bad habit where I start stuff and then I end up not really following through with it for the long term. The podcast, for what it is, though, it helped me to talk about issues that I felt like I couldn't really, that I hadn't really found a way to actually talk openly about. My struggles with depression and how I dealt with some cutting in high school, and how I dealt with suicidal thoughts when I was younger, when I was like 10. And this podcast served as a way for me to discuss these issues and kind of get it off my chest, and not necessarily initiate the conversation, but helped me to talk about it in a way that I guess it kind of helped me to cope with it or deal with it, and which is fine on its own. But and I have talked with these issues with other people in my life, with my wife and family and siblings and stuff, which also has had been greatly beneficial. But I feel like as a whole, mental health issues aren't talked about openly enough. I'm not saying they're not talked about. Issues of mental health and suicide and depression are talked about and discussed, but kind of more often than not, I feel like it's discussed behind closed doors or with those closest to you, which is fine. You want to, talk with someone that you feel comfortable talking to, but for something that is as common as mental health and depression and anxiety and all of the above, it's not talked about openly enough. And this film project would basically open the door to initiate the conversation and bring people in. Not only myself, my hope is that I can get other people involved in this project to share their stories, their personal struggles. And another key factor that I really want to focus on in this would be personal triumphs, because one thing that I feel like isn't talked enough in regards to isn't talked about enough in regards to mental health is everyone wants to focus on the weakness part of it. Yeah, I was at my lowest when I dealt with this struggle, or I was so low in my life when I was really fighting depression or fighting those suicidal thoughts. One thing that I really want to focus on is where other people often see weakness, there is also unprecedented strength. And that is a really important thing that I feel like needs to be discussed, especially in regards to mental health. Now, another benefit to this project would also helping others to not feel like they are alone. I know I can't speak for everyone, but speaking for myself, I know that at a certain point in my life, I felt like no one could understand me, no one understood what I was dealing with or going through, and I really did feel pretty alone, even though I was constantly surrounded by immediate family and friends. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I could talk about it. Even when I went to mandated therapy sessions, I weaseled my way around and avoided talking about it, and ended up kind of getting my way out of that, and ended up not having to go to therapy for as long as a few of my younger siblings, which I feel like I finally reached a point where if I were to go back to therapy now, it would actually be beneficial to me, because I would want to talk about it. And this film would be, people sharing their stories and their personal stories. And if I can get enough people involved, I also want to talk to these people one-on-one over, Skype or a video call, or, something, and ask them questions. And the other part of it is, with COVID going around, perfect time to make a film that could be created purely, with social distancing, without getting a bunch of people in one area. This would be perfect. And this would, open up the conversation, initiate the conversation. It is awkward, and it is oftentimes scary. I know it was for me when I was finally able to, breach the subject with certain people. It was very, very hard. But more importantly, just opening up the conversation to talk about mental health, and to get people to discuss it and share what they've dealt with on a personal level, and how they've been able to deal with it. I want to hear other people's stories. I know for me, at a certain point, I kind of, when I would discuss this topic with certain people, it would kind of turn into a pissing match of sorts, like, oh, you've dealt with this, well, wait till you hear my story, sort of thing. And that's how I treated it for a long time, is because I was like, oh, your life is bad, wait till you hear about mine. And I feel like hearing other people, being able to hear other people's stories, is super important in regards to mental health. It helps you feel like you're not alone. It helps you understand it helps you hear other people's perspectives. And I really want to get this project off the ground. I really want to get it started. Film is and always will be a major passion of mine. I don't have anyone on board for this project yet, or not even really anyone knows about it. But I really want to get this up and going. The working title that I have for it is My Mental Life. And I did choose that title for a reason. I was reading an article just this morning where where the article talked about certain terms in regards to mental health, or people struggling with mental health, to avoid, and calling someone crazy, or using terms like psychotic or mental. I feel like using that term, but sort of flipping it on its head and saying, here's what I've dealt with, here's my mental life, for someone who may want to understand about it, who may want to understand things about struggles with mental health, and may not really think about terminology they use and stuff like that. And you can sort of like flipping that around and saying, I'm not crazy, and this is what I've struggled with, and this is where I'm at. This is my struggle with mental health. And I want to talk about my struggle with mental health in this, and I really want to hear other stories, other people's perspectives, and understand. I want this to be just as much as a learning opportunity as it is just to be able to share other people's stories and hear other people's stories as well. If you are interested in getting involved in this project, or you happen to know someone who is interested in this project, please let them know. Please contact me. I will put my contact information in the description down below. Hopefully I will have this up on my Instagram as well as my YouTube, and I will put email links if you want to contact me. If you see this on Instagram, feel free to just message me on there, or just comment down below this video, and let me know. Tell me if you're interested. Feel free to contact me. I'm looking forward to getting this off the ground. I am super pumped about it. And this is one project that I know that I am not giving up on. So Thank you for watching this video.